Don't start it. The games begin. Run, tell your friends I came to win. I came to
Freeze! Change the channel and then freeze.
That's
And
awesome.
He's fighting with the guy, and he's like, "Look, I know this is gonna sound like a weird request, but could you turn around? I'm really not trying to see the score of the game."
Oh my god. It's funny, Dad and I watched the Halloween episode of that. That was this year, and he's like, I like that show. And I'm like, good.
Dude, Brooklyn Nine-Nine's great.
It's zany. I like it.
And the Halloween episode, the first season's Halloween episode was terrific. This year's was great too. I love them both, but
Yeah.
the first season's was awesome. It's something I've never seen done in like in any sitcom really. And I gotta say, I gotta throw it out there. Big, huge man crush on Michael Schur, the guy that creates the show.
Who's Michael? Is he done anything else?
He started work on The Office, the American Office. He did Parks and Rec, and fun fact about him: he played in character Mose Schrute in The Office, if you remember that.
I remember him.
And he was one of the authors of Fire Joe Morgan, which is my all-time favorite website/blog.
That is Kick-Ass. The cold open stops now. Welcome to the 7th episode of the Artist and the Economist podcast. How you doing,
cheers.
man?
Clink, clink, clink,
Clinking
clink,
and
clink.
drinking.
Yeah, buddy. Getting
Yeah.
slam-a-bang.
So before we get
on
too
coffee.
sidetracked on coffee, slam up hammer, that's a drink at coffee people. Guess where that is? It's where we're from. Try and find us. All right, so before we get too sidetracked,
Nice.
It's been a while since we recorded the last one. How have you been?
I've been good. Not much has really changed. I have worked a couple days.
Okay.
I've watched a little bit of football. Mm-hmm. I decided I probably need a new car, but I want to save up more for it.
Yeah. You want to get that submersible, that friggin' submarine car, right?
Oh man, it's gonna kill me that I don't remember what those are called.
You better-
Those things are outstanding.
You better give me your Aston Martin when you're all done with that.
Give.
Yeah.
No, I will sell it to you for pennies on the dollar, though.
All
I
right.
bought that Aston Martin for $14 trillion, so I'll give it to you for,
They made
56
They
billion.
made a new gold alloy that makes it so you can still make it a car, but you can still say it's solid gold.
And then I got aftermarket tinting, which was an extra like $200.
Gross tinting.
What's wrong with tinting? Tinting's great.
I want to make sure that I can give like a mean mug fuck off look to anyone who knows I'm driving a solid gold car. I don't need tinted windows. I want everybody to see me.
Tinted windows, I have heard, keep you cooler in terms of like, UV protection or whatever. I don't know if I'd buy it, but it feels good.
I was going to say, you know what also keeps you cooler? Wind as you're rolling in your friggin' Aston Martin that's solid gold as the wind blows through your hair. But then again, I also
Wait,
thought...
is an Aston Martin convertible?
No, well, it could be. It's for $14 trillion. You better get that car to be everything.
Does it also
like the
take you
Spy
to
Hunter car?
Does it take you to space?
Is
it a SpaceX
I mean,
car?
you tell me. We got the pictures. We'll post those later.
Paging Dr. Photoshop. Dr. Photoshop, please.
Great. Now I gotta do that.
But yeah, no, I've been fine. I just, whatever, saving money, getting ready for the holiday season.
That's true.
This
Recording
is my-
this is the day after. This is November 1st, so day after Halloween.
Yep, gotta pay rent today. But moreover, I'm digging the season. This is my favorite season by far.
Yeah, the
All
holiday.
of-
Yeah.
All of the sports are in action, which is great. Baseball just finished.
Hockey just started.
Hockey just started. Basketball just started. Football's in full throes. And MLS playoffs are happening if you care about that.
Not really.
Well,
well, there's a reason why I don't.
yeah, you don't.
Yeah. Also, I love your neighbors yelling. That's great.
Whatever. This basically doesn't happen.
This is basic. Yeah.
This is like the first time I've ever heard noise in the hallways, basically. Except for sometimes there's like a child or a dog that runs back and forth along like the breezeway on the second
Child
floor.
or a dog.
I don't know. I can't see it. I can't see through the
Woof
floors.
woof! I'm a kid. Woof woof! I'm a Spider-Man.
You know, it's weird that they said that, but now I'm starting to put the pieces together. It's a little strange.
Oh God.
Yeah, I don't know. Fall's my favorite season.
It's a great
The
season.
turning of the leaves, the chill in the air. It's when my body
It's the kind of thing where it's like
feels
you.
most at home.
You're so
in
used
the
to
cold
summer.
weather.
You're so used to summer, so it's like when fall comes, you're ready for it to be over. Mm-hmm. So it's same with winter. When spring comes, you're ready for winter to be
Well,
over.
and that's what I have always resented about like the deep middle of winter when I'll just like offhandedly be like, oh man, it is cold today. And everyone's like, yeah, keep that in mind when summer rolls around. You wish it's hot now. And it's like, no, I don't wish it's hot. I'm just telling you it's cold. Like, this is a different conversation.
This is a statement. This is a statement saying, shit, it's cold. I need to experiment with bleeping out my swears. In the podcast.
Podcast or in real life? You get a little beep button.
Like, you know how they had the profanity filter in the South Park movie? I wish that they would, instead of shocking you, it would just make like a beep, like whenever you would swear. Like, it kind of anticipates your speech, so it's just all like, well, what the... And it would bleep you out. I would love that.
That seems...
It would class up the world a bit.
I disagree. That's a fucking shitty idea, damn it.
So get your Helen Damon ass back in that bitchin' damn room, David.
That's kind of what I had in mind.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess, how are you?
I guess. Things have been going pretty okay.
I figured you would get to it eventually.
I figured you would get to it, I don't have to ask you. You're just going to tell me anyway. You know how you are. Whatever. I've been doing a lot of comic stuff. I wrapped up a Halloween kind of spooky-ish series I've been wanting to do for a while, but I've never had the real like avenue to pursue it. I did it with I wanted a character that could be kind of sinister, but also do something I've always wanted to do, which is a versus series. I wanted a character to like fight like movie villains, game villains, and stuff, and just beat the shit out of them.
Nice.
Because like I had this idea of a long time ago. It's like, if you're big and strong enough, you could overpower Jason. If you're big and strong enough, you could overpower like the Texas Chainsaw guy.
Well, yes.
So I had this idea in the back of my head, but I never really thought of a way to apply it. And so I thought, you know what? I'll take the internet culture's obsession with Markiplier and Darkiplier, which is like an alter ego of him, and then use that, because it's also going to tie into some very upcoming things, which is probably going to get started in next year. But
I wouldn't call that very upcoming.
It's very upcoming for me because
2017, baby, lock it up.
But for me, it's like, because you have to create things. So much of it is the working period, so you're just like, I need to experiment with all these things now.
Look, I'm no artist, so maybe
I am an economist.
But aren't cartoons super simple child stuff that should only take a few minutes a day to create, because it's not like it's hard because you don't have a real job?
Yeah.
I meant the royal you, not you.
That's the lie. That's the entertainment lie. It really only takes like $5 to make an animated anything, but we pretend like it costs a lot of money.
Well, the internet's always had that problem, / people in general, which is like...
You're just lazy.
No, what I mean is like, when you'll hear them bitch about HBO, like, why isn't HBO like $5 a month for me to just get everything I want and then I can get out? It's like, yeah, okay, sure. It costs basically no money to make Game of Thrones or Boardwalk Empire or True Blood.
That's an entitlement thing that we'll actually probably get into a little bit later, but wrapping up how my weeks have been, I'm currently looking for new employment. I'm kind of moving a bit further away from being a contractor to try and get more of like some stable work, see if I can build a portfolio up. I've been applying to a lot of graphic design firms around the city, still looking to kind of get that working out. I have experience. I have all the things you could ever need. I'm insanely creative. This is just me trying to pep myself up, because sometimes I don't believe it.
I was going to say, are you interviewing right now?
Because like, when you don't have any feedback when you're a contractor, you just kind of sit and do your work. And so it's really easy to just kind of get into this cycle of just like, I guess that works, or like no one's talking to you. So
well, yeah,
it's the things I even do with my comics. Like, I'm actually taking all of November like off from making my personal comics to just work on an established thing that's consistent. Because every time I do a new comic, it seems like it looks completely different to me. So I'm trying to figure that all stuff out like too. And we even talked about it last night. Like the organic free flowing of like, I'll just find that eventually. It's worked for a while, but now I really do need to just sit my ass down and get to work.
Yeah, and like what I meant by isn't it better to do that organically or whatever?
Yeah.
I guess I was probably underselling, if anything, the nature of the creative beast.
Sure.
Because I guess, to use sort of a sports metaphor, it'd be like, yeah, Vince Carter, you're great at dunking. You're a great athlete. Basketball comes easily to you. And it'd be really easy to assume, like, whatever. It probably just evolved over time. But even though people called him lazy and said he didn't fully utilize his talents, like, part of that's just because it looked super easy to him, and maybe he was lazy. I don't know, but like
It's like we talked
really
about this with like
easy
Wayne
to-
Gretzky even.
Yeah.
Like when he became a coach and he was telling all of his players like, "Hey, just do this." It's like, are you kidding?
That's not that's not even fair because that's not what he did. People just assume that's what he did,
Well, right,
Because
but-
people think that's like a clever joke. Like, what's Wayne Gretzky gonna teach him? Just play like me. It's like, dude, no, he worked hard at it. He's
Yeah.
just not good at like some parts of it. Like, there's so much behind the scenes work that
yeah.
goes into everything.
Everybody has.
my point.
It's plus and minus, man. Everybody's got their pros and cons and everything like that. The last thing I wanted to say, wrapping it up, on terms of what I did, I actually met with a local group of voice actors, just around the city, and wanted to kind of get a pep talk about that too, because I'm reaching out in that direction too.
It seems like there's a lot of different directions and different avenues being explored.
Yeah. So, without me rambling on and taking huge breaks and pauses, how about we move on to our main topic?
Okay,
All right.
nice.
Yeah. Okay, one thing I actually forgot to mention, which has actually made me really excited. I made a big deal out of getting a brand new microphone. We're using it for the first time ever because me thinking that everything just works the way I think it does, I just plugged it into the computer and didn't have to load any drivers.
Classic mistake.
So that's why this might sound a little bit cleaner. So
Or-
hopefully a lot more cleaner. So
A lot more cleaner indeed.
Mm.
Hopefully it sounds cleaner, and hopefully at this point you're like, wow, the audio's so clear. This guy's voice is so much more annoying than he used to be. God, I can't listen to these anymore.
it's like as soon as we get the new microphones installed, like, hey, why don't we talk about things on the internet?
And then, like, for 5 minutes straight, you just edit in, like, pterodactyl screeching at high-pitched volume over my voice. And it's like, oh, no, sorry, this mic is really amazing.
It's
Wow.
like those like beer goggles, like the except for it's like voice goggles.
Voice goggle.
Like I just picture that kind of funny ass like mustache nose with the glasses like on someone's throat, just all like sounding.
I wore one of those as part of a Halloween costume one year.
Really?
Those things are super uncomfortable.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
I don't think they're made for comfort.
Well, okay, good point. There was a dude I saw yesterday dressed up for Halloween
Yeah.
who was like some sort of mad scientist, I guess, because he had like a white lab coat.
Sure.
And he had these like fake glasses on with the little like white dome eyes.
What?
Like they're just like bugged out eyes or whatever.
Oh,
but
yeah.
there's so much plastic there. He's like, I can't actually see out of these. I was like, maybe
So-
pick a better costume then
Maybe why
next
not?
time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was Halloween's weird, man. Especially as you get older.
Yeah, because like that's actually something I read on one of Movie Bob's articles. He talks about the Peanuts Halloween special and how like there's some like the reason that it's like become mandatory holiday viewing for a lot of people is how genuine it is, and not because like it's just little kids having fun, but it's also little kids exploring like faith and disappointment.
Sure.
Because like Charlie Brown's Halloween is shitty. He gets rocks to eat and they draw on his head, and he doesn't get invited to a Halloween party, but kind of gets like backhandedly invited to a party.
I would also like to point out real quick, on the subject of Peanuts, Charlie Brown was always advertised as like the C student, like a very average person or whatever.
Yeah.
Charlie Brown's life is bullshit. He is living an F life, or like at best a D- life. Nothing good ever happens to him.
Yeah,
To be
it's-
average, you have to have good and bad essentially balance each other out. But he's always like going to kick a football and then she pulls it away and then he lands on his back and screams, or they're playing baseball and he's terrible and the line drive hits him and all of his clothes fly off, or he's not getting invited to a party and everyone makes fun of him. It's like, dude, Charlie Brown's gonna kill himself.
No, it's great because like they had a TV show, like an actual like kid, like full on TV show about it, and one of the best episodes was when he like turns invisible for some reason and like starts actually enjoying things in life. And I'm like, because like he actually kicks the football And Lucy's just like, what the hell's going on?
What a terrible message.
Yeah,
That
especially
you're-
because like your life is better without you in it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what that
That's
says.
terrible.
That's horrible.
Oh my god! But it's
unreal.
it is pretty unreal. But yeah, I was reading an article about it, how like genuine it was, and it's like so much of being a kid is like excitement, and then like maybe a little bit of disappointment because you grow up. But like, I mean, because you like think about what Halloween is also symbolically. It's like a day. It's like an entire almost weeks or months of build up for this one night where everything's just like, you spooky, scary. Everybody gets to be whoever they want to be, and then the next day it's like, these decorations are stupid. Get them down.
Well, and even more to the point, like, say, like, whatever, being in my 20s is great because there's, you know, Halloween parties if I so choose. Whatever, that's fine. It's an excuse to go party, I guess, but I don't know. I hate costumes. Maybe I'm just going to sound like a miser for a minute here, but
Yeah, sure.
I hate costumes. I think they're silly. Like, some of them can be well done, but God, we've seen them all before, and everyone's, like, big thing each year is to rush to find, like, the most insensitive, topical one, like... The
Yeah.
year that everyone went as Steve Irwin with a toy stingray hanging out of the chest. It's like, real funny, guys. Good job. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, it's like you're gonna be a dick on one day of the year.
Yep.
It's
And-
like that's what like Mischief Night's about too. Like, you know, let's go egg cars and shit. It's like, why? You're an asshole.
Yeah. That's.
It's kind of the weird thing where like, I mean, people have traditions and stuff. Like even when I was talking to Dad about it, he was like, we don't celebrate Christmas, but we celebrate Halloween. And I'm all like, what's to celebrate about Halloween?
Well, I mean.
Candy?
Yeah. And look, don't get me wrong.
I don't know.
I put Halloween at 4th in my holiday rankings.
Yeah.
I stand by that. Because all the holidays after it, I mean, they're not great either. But whatever. It's...
Yeah, it's one of
any
those things.
holiday, and the reason number 5, if I remember right, is New Year's Eve.
Mm.
It's the same deal. Like, nothing happens until like 7 or 8 p.m. So like most of the day
Yeah.
is just like a regular ass day.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Oh, great, cool.
So, like, that's why, like, Christmas is, I think, a better way to do it.
Christmas
like,
is number 1.
yeah. So much of the build-up and stuff actually pays off for Christmas because, I mean, we speak from the experience of having, like, you know, family gatherings and genuine fun times around Christmas, and even
Sure.
growing up in a Christian household that celebrated the real spirit of Christmas, crap like that. It's just, there's so much more payoff to something like Christmas because it celebrates, I guess, giving and charity and
Yeah.
family and togetherness and stuff. Like, so, because society will kind of, like, annex that kind of stuff where, like, you know, it was a Christian holiday mainly, but then people were just all like, Christmas is a time for everybody. Everybody should be invited. Everybody should feel included. Everybody should feel loved.
Well, and look, it's going to sound maybe a little hypocritical, but you can look for the bad in every holiday, and a lot of people do with Christmas. Like, it's the celebration of
Commercialism.
excess and commercialism, and like those complaints fall on very deaf ears to me for the same reason that any other complaints about
Why isn't it
any
being
holiday.
waged against Halloween or Valentine's Day?
Yeah, and it's like, look, you can find the bad in anything if you want, and even if you strip away the bad, and even if you strip away any religious undertones or connotations, Christmas is still the best. You get the day off.
It's a winter festival. Yay.
There's good times to be had if you have people in your life worth celebrating with.
Mm-hmm.
There's gifts exchanged, and there's, you know, whatever, merriment, and there's a ton of great food. And
Yeah. And even looking at the history of, like, the Saturnalia or whatever it was called, it was like the pagan festival the Romans did, where everything was like messed up crazy, where like the slaves were now the masters, and now you could like the people who owned the slaves would like get them to feed wine and stuff, not feed them wine, but like pour them wine, and like they'd have big parties and stuff like that. And I'm just like, that's kind of interesting. Like, it's even from like an ancient civilization perspective, that's a really weird thing to think about.
boy, that's an understatement.
Because you'd think like caste systems and stuff would be in place, like even for one day out of the year, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
So-
yeah, I don't know.
It's like thanking a soldier for their service, I guess.
Okay.
Oh
On
god.
that note,
How about we jump into just? Let's just make this a random topic post. Let's do that.
That's we were thinking about it, and we were like, yeah, we should do another one of these. It's been a while, and I don't know. We each just had a bunch of little things that we
Yeah.
weren't particularly passionate about, so it's gonna be like a little Gallimaufry style,
All right.
you know, podcast.
Dig it.
just little single subject, whatever. Let it flow.
Let it flow. I don't even know that song, and I know that song. So,
Well, I
god,
mean-
kill me,
Pretty ubiquitous.
kill me. So you wanted to talk about internet culture today.
Yeah, it's just something that had been occurring to me for, I don't know, it's been occurring to me for a while, but I don't feel particularly passionate about it.
Yeah.
Probably because it's never happened to me. Like, I'm not the victim of it, but
Yeah.
the internet's obsession with, like, I guess, hate culture / sensitivity to things really bums me out. The example I'll give you is, whenever someone, like, I don't know, the whole idea of, like, triggers or whatever, where it's
Sure.
like, say whatever weird, mean, crazy, insensitive, funny, outlandish things you want on the internet about any topic.
But you say this
But
one
then
thing.
if you say, like, if you call someone a retard, then it's like, oh, that's not okay. That's where I draw the line. And it's fine if you personally draw the line there, but don't get morally outraged about the fact that
Someone
other
being
people
different,
don't have
yeah.
the same line as you, and certainly don't try and force your own beliefs on them, because that is just insane to me. I can't believe people think that.
It's like the kind of thing where, like, if a friend of yours said something that was, like, that kind of felt out of line, you wouldn't be like, how fucking dare you? I'm never speaking to you again.
Right.
You'd be like, dude, listen, like, I like you, you're my friend, but hey. Like, you'd talk to them like a human being. Mm-hmm. But the internet, you don't have to be a human being.
Evidently not. It's just, I don't know, it's weird to me. Like, there was a whole, like, the reason I used the retard example
Yeah,
is 'cause there was, like, a
JonTron
whole
came
JonTron
out, yeah.
thing where he used that and people got on his case for using the word. And it's like, look, fine, maybe it wasn't the best choice of words from, like, a, decent human being standpoint or whatever, but, like, who the fuck are you to tell him what he should and shouldn't do or
Yeah.
believe? That's insane to me. And,
It's interesting, too,
to
when you
try and
also...
silence that is just crazy.
And to be, like, mad at him just for, like,
Yeah.
having that, like, even if he did, like, because people got on his case also because he didn't apologize. He was like, no, I'm not going to apologize for saying retarded. What was it? Because I even see, like, Twitter messages from Aaron, Ego Raptor, and he's just like, somebody called him out for, like, apologizing for using that word too. And he was just like, dude, why would you ever, like, care to apologize for just saying natural things that you say? And he's just like, well, dude, what's the matter with having a little empathy for someone who feels hurt? And it's like, but that's not what they're being upset about. They're being upset for some stupid reason. You should never, like, cater to those people. And he just, like, tweets right back to him, like, God, you must be, like, a really mean dude.
Yeah, well, and I think my
Empathy
main point
is good, but, I mean, I think when you bow to the will of someone who's, like, I don't know if the word is vehemently just, like, opposed to things that you do or is disgusted by what you do. It's like,
Yeah.
even John said, like, I don't take stock in being offended by things.
Well,
That's a good way to go because, I mean, look at the kind of place where we live. I mean, like, living in America where people, like, because you can say whatever you want, but you also have to, it's like the entire tolerance message where, like, we get to say whatever we want, but we also have to put up with people, like, we don't like saying whatever they want too.
Right.
So-
Well, and, like, the whole interplay of people saying things that other people find reprehensible is interesting to me too, because I don't know, maybe I'm the weird one here, but I've never thought it was a big deal. Like,
Yeah.
if someone came in and was like, man, everything you believe in is dumb, everything that you stand for is stupid, I hate you, and then they'd call me a bunch of insensitive names, my reaction wouldn't be like passive aggressively whine about it to someone,
Yeah.
or like try and fight them or yell at them or something.
Yeah.
My answer would be more like, fine, like, it's kind of a dick move of you to phrase it like this, but fine, like, I can't control you.
Yeah,
I
and
can't control what you do.
And listening to even that phrase, like, what if somebody got offended by being called a dick because they were, like, born without one, Like,
Yeah, well, and
because
that's
people
it,
are
like,
going to
you
have those
can't-
triggers. Like, for me, I think back to, like, the early 2000s when, like, calling something gay was, like, a colloquialism for saying something was, like, stupid. Mm-hmm. And I could understand being a gay person and just being like, dude, don't connotate those things together. They're not the same.
Yep.
And that offends me because, seriously, really? You're calling something gay like it's stupid? Mm-hmm. So, like, stuff like that makes sense, and things like that will naturally evolve. It's just kind of a natural way that things evolve over time, too, because, like, maybe one day we will live in a very, I don't want to say gentrified, I want to say, like, a polite society.
Sure.
Where, like, we won't say things like retarded, and we'll have words like that. But, I mean, even looking at things like, if you go to the UK and you say someone's spastic, you're going to get mean-mugged to holy hell.
Well, and to me, that sort of dovetails into, like, a semantic issue that's always bothered me, which is people getting upset over swearing.
Like the
I
chick,
think-
remember the bullshit episode of
Yeah,
Penn and Teller
yeah,
where
yeah.
like someone says Santa Vaca instead of like oh my god or
Yeah.
holy cow. It's like, you know,
which
it's
is
actually offensive
in a
because
different culture.
Yes, but you're in America, so it doesn't matter.
Well, and then I mean, yeah, I've been told many times over the years like you should try and swear less, or there are people who will say I want to swear less, and it's like, look, I mean, fine.
If that's for like your own personal
If it's for your own,
betterment,
do whatever you think is right, and if you think you have a good reason for doing it, like you don't want your kid to do whatever, that's fine. Like I'm not going to tell you not to, but like swearing isn't offensive.
Yeah.
Swearing is just a semantic expression. The whole concept of language is just meant to express emotion and feelings, and whatever words you pick to do it, the word isn't the issue. The intent should always be the issue.
It comes down to that kind of golden rule that context always matters in any situation. So there you go.
Yeah, context. I love the idea of context.
The picture I've always seen, because we were talking about JonTron, the picture I've always seen is like the tweets he gets from this one woman. It's like, it's 2014, you should understand the meanings of words. And he's like, your name is literally Siberian Slut. It's like, yeah, you should know the words. I agree.
He's like, yep, that makes sense. That's funny.
And people got on his case because he was talking about, that was when like the whole Gaza Strip-esque thing was going on. And he was like, he made a mention of like, you know, people are getting offended because I used a word when like so many kids are dead in other countries right now.
See,
if people took that energy and put it towards something positive, maybe we'd have less of that.
See, I disagree with that.
Yeah.
Because I've never believed the whole, like, there is something more important going on in the world, ergo, you can't be mad at this smaller thing.
Yeah.
I think that's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
That's like saying, this came up a lot.
I don't think he did it in that regard. I think he made it to the point where it's like, guys, look at what we're getting offended about. Look at what's happening here. I get it. It was more of like a perspective thing, like, guys.
Even still.
Yeah.
Like, that came up a lot when baseball was having its initial, like, steroid crisis in the mid-2000s.
And what happened?
And people were getting on the government's case for trying to tackle the steroids issue. It's like, government, did you know there's a war in the Middle East? Maybe focus on the important
There's more than one branch.
Yeah, and it's not like you go into work and you're like, I'm going to focus on this one task, and if you try and introduce a different task to me, I'm going to freak the fuck out and not be able to do anything. But since this one is more important, I'm going to dedicate all my resources to it. Like, that's a crazy, crazy thing to me. That's one thing I've never, like... like, there's a more important thing going on, ergo...
We should stop caring about this.
This thing doesn't matter. Yeah. I think that's crazy.
I think if everybody just calmed down and took a little time to think about what they did, it would just all be better.
Thinking about what you do is hard.
I know.
Thinking about what you say is hard.
Yeah. That's why people like to text more than talk anymore.
And even then, man, does this ever happen to you where you'll be talking to someone and you'll snap into it at a certain point in the conversation and you'll just be like, wait, what? Have I been talking this whole time? Like, I'm on autopilot right now. Because my brain is, like, barely registering the cues. And I'm not, like, actively listening. But
I've done that before when I was,
it feels bad.
It feels really bad, especially when, like, I carried around a kind of, like, I don't give a shit about what I say thing, so I just say weird shit sometimes. Mm-hmm. So I broke out of that, because, like, it doesn't engage anybody and everybody just thinks you're weird. So,
yeah.
Like, I care more about when I actually speak to people. I think the hardest things for me in terms of having a conversation with somebody is like having answers to questions that you don't even know the answers to, or like even where it, like, because you even said like, oh, thinking about yourself is hard, but like when you're in like a job interview, it's like, what's your greatest weakness? I'm just like, I don't pick those out. I don't think about those very much.
Well, that's always a funny question because there's no obviously
I care too much.
No, and the reason they ask it is to see how honest you are with yourself.
Yeah.
And the more honest you are with yourself, and then
I actually got asked that question recently at a job interview, and I said public speaking, like in terms of like trying to motivate someone.
That's a great answer.
It's a great answer because like but the reason why I picked it was because I'm a visual person. Right. I went through game design courses and I'm an artist. I draw all the time, so I express everything I can visually. When, like, you have that designer mentality, you don't want to tell anybody anything. You're just like, look at that. You'll see what you need to do. You know what color theory is. You know red is bad and green is good. You know that. Mm-hmm. So,
well, I got asked that question for the job that I'm currently at, and I said, look, I am an independent person. I'm an independent worker. I'm perfectly good at being given a task and just figuring out like the best and most efficient way to do it.
Sure.
And my weakness is that I get frustrated if there are barriers put in place to that.
Like,
And it
don't
makes
get in the way of me doing what I can do.
And it makes me shut down sometimes, and it makes me a little more standoffish to people just because I'm like, no, like, let's just do the task. And that's not the right way to interact with people in, like, a healthy, collaborative environment. And all the strengths that come with it, which is, like, if it's, hey, we need to get this thing turned around and I can do it quickly, great. But there's definitely a negative to that. And it's good if you answer that honestly. It's always funny when people answer that disingenuously.
The entire world of like things like that. It's something that's I'm gonna have to deal with eventually.
Well, yeah. The interview process to me is a funny one.
Like fucking Finding Neverland. When I spend any time with me, maybe she wants such a bore. I'm gonna write Peter Pan.
Wow.
Talking to people is hard.
The whole interview process is funny to me. I don't think I've written anything on it, but I always kind of meant to. I think it's funny, and I don't know, maybe this is just my perspective, and maybe I'm, I don't know, good at them. Maybe it's not fair of me to say or whatever, but interviews aren't hard. Interviews are just a conversation. Like, I guess maybe if you're desperate for a job and you really want to get it, it can add some pressure or like tenseness to the situation. But look, like going into a job interview and expecting to learn everything you can about the company
in like one interview,
it's insanity. It doesn't work like that. Every job I've ever interviewed for, the actual like job of it, once I've gotten it, has been completely different from my initial understanding.
It's funny
because there's only so much time you have to like learn, and you need to know up front if it's a good fit.
And we were talking to you. I was actually talking to you about this because I got that. I was called in for like an interview at this place that I started doing research for. The recruiter actually called me and said like, hey, we saw your resume, it has like a really creative history, we could use someone like that at our company, would you like to come in? And I said, sure, yeah, why not, I'd give it a try, I want to like figure out a bit more. Started doing research on the place, and it's a place for junior executive type people who want to be like, you know, leaders in a workplace. And I'm like, when does my expertise come in?
Right.
That seems like you're just trying to put me in a position, not that my position is suited for you.
Right.
Like that's the best thing I learned coming out of the Art Institute was for-profit schools. But I had great teachers. Lee was fantastic. But like the thing that I learned in my last illustration class was like, there are so many different people in the world, so many different perspectives to offer. It's not about catering what you like yourself to something and what they want. Yep. It's about you being you and enjoying what you do, and then applying to those places and letting those people come to you.
Yeah.
Because I even look at the cover of like Juxtapose magazine, and like every time it's a real magazine.
That's funny.
And so many different creative people do covers for it, and it's all kind of oddly punk rockish, and I love it. And I'm like, that'd be really cool to work on, and it'd be really cool to be a part of. For me personally, though, like I like a clean kind of like illustrated comic book look, so I'm not going to be going out to places that want like, you know, rendering concept artist type people who paint all the time. I'm going to be going to kind of like comic-y cartoonist people who want to see my work.
And that makes perfect sense. So. Well, and it's important in life and in everything. And I'm definitely not saying I'm there. I'm not saying any of us are there per se, because
I'm sure not.
But it's important to know what you do and don't want out of life.
Oh,
like, when I was in my last interview cycle, I interviewed at this place. It was like a healthcare company or whatever. And the first interview was a phone interview. It was like 45 minutes. And they were like, okay, great, we'll give you a call back. You can talk to one of the hiring manager.
Sure.
And so I talked to him for like 45 minutes. And then he was like, okay, cool. We like you and your skill set. The rest of the interview process, there are 3 follow-up interviews.
God, you told me about this.
Yeah, one of which was like an in-person like aptitude test. One of which was like a behavioral
Put the square in the square hole.
There was like a behavioral question test. I don't even remember what the third one was. He's like, and they're each 3 hours.
What?
And once I get through all 3 of those,
there's like more.
There's a final interview where you go meet the team and like learn about the dynamics. I was like, I'm not going to spend like 12 hours of my life. Like, this is an excellent way to ensure that people don't come here, and like all you get are the most desperate people with like the patience to meet these insane needs. Like, this is insulting.
Yeah.
This is 100% insulting to me.
It seemed like that. That was that seems weird.
It's one of the weirdest things that's ever happened to me job-wise.
It's funny in terms of like knowing what you want out of life, because it's the joke that I have with one of my best friends that we kind of understood what life was going to offer us in high school, and everybody says that, but it kind of feels like we got it sooner, which is weird, because I looked at the things that I wanted to do after school and I was like, I want to just have a job that can feed me and support me with no real debts to speak of.
Nice.
I wouldn't be a rich person, and I wouldn't be well to do, but I'd have some money, I'd have my friends, I'd have my relationships, and then I'd just go try to make my living as an artist. And then I get pressured into going to school, and then I do that, and then I learned that I don't want to do like anything of what I even went to school for.
Nice.
And now I've got debts up the ass,
Yep.
and I'm like, and my goal is still the same, to just genuinely be a creative person and apply that hopefully in positive ways around my community and have a bunch of friends and people to talk to. It's like I knew I wanted that when I was in high school.
I don't want to derail your point here, but I would like to throw out an economist pro tip. Get out of debt, people, if you can. Work your absolute hardest to get out of debt. You have no idea, maybe you do, how many people that I've talked to, that I've met, that I've seen, whose situations I've heard about, where they're just in debt for one reason or another because they got too far behind on a thing and then gambled on something to pan out that didn't pan out.
I gambled on a fart and lost.
And... Thanks.
It's the autobiography of Stinklines the Goblin.
But it's so easy to get behind. It's so easy to promise yourself that you'll take care of it later.
Yeah.
And debt mounts so quickly. And there is no freedom in life quite like being liberated 100% from debt.
Yeah.
And the moment you accomplish it, when I paid off my student loans in full, it was... I went out and bought a bottle of scotch to celebrate because I was like, fuck yes, I'm done with debts right now.
That's what I'm trying to do, actually,
and
myself,
it's great, and you know, it's fine if you have them. There's a reason. There are incredibly valid reasons to go into debt.
Yeah.
Home loan, auto loan, student loan, whatever it happens to be. But like, please, 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 people, I implore you, as the quote unquote economist here, but
don't let people own you.
just and do it for yourself. So much of life
Shouldn't be spent worry about money.
So yeah, money's, I would argue, possibly behind relationships, but maybe not. I would argue money is probably the most important issue, the most pressing, troubling issue on most people's minds on a day-to-day basis. I have no numbers to back this up. This is 100% a
It
guess.
sounds about right.
And it's because it's everything. It's your whole world in a lot of ways. It controls what you can and can't do. It controls your freedom to some extent.
You know what's interesting is that I think about that kind of relationship that we uniquely have as Americans with money, and I think about like places that have socialized medicine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look how much happier their lives are when what is a massive chunk of their like what would be like a looming dread
their burden
is gone.
Yep.
Like, look how much prosperity is in those places.
Oh yeah, and I don't consider myself an especially political person, but it's hard to look at the different systems around the world and look at the numbers and look at the world happiness ratings like we did, or I did during the country draft we did.
Yeah.
But you know, you look at those and it's hard not to put two and two together when you have a huge portion of your financial burdens eased and socialized to the point where it's like you don't even have to think twice. Like, if you're sick, there's a doctor on the corner. If you need education, like, it's covered. That alleviates so much I can barely even speak.
Yeah, and people think like, you know, I'm not even going to finish that statement. It's just a uniquely American problem.
Yeah.
It's a problem. It really is. We spun into a lot of different things talking about just internet culture, hey?
Gallimaufry mode, bro. Just a bunch of little quick hits. That's what it's all about.
I say, speaking of quick hits, I want to talk about relationships.
Okay.
I don't think the friend zone exists.
Well, there's a great internet culture point for you.
Yeah, because see, for me, it comes down to...
Brought it full circle is what I'm saying. Great job. Great job.
All right, full circle. Look at that. That was weak, but we'll try it again later.
Yeah, it's okay. We're building.
The reason I say that is because, like, for me, it comes down to the fundamental, like, fallacy in your thinking. is that the only reason you know a woman is to have sex with them or be in a relationship with them.
Yep.
Like,
which is so incredibly sexist. I can barely even put it into English words.
yeah. So for me,
It'll
like,
just evolve into a series of like, Gah!
yeah.
Come on.
Come on, this is my nice guy tokens. Come on, we should sleep together. It ties into a lot of entitlement culture, I think, too.
Oh,
But, like,
absolutely, it does.
a little bit, more like entirely. For me, because the reason I say it's so matter of fact, like the friend zone doesn't exist, is because of that thinking. But it's also like, guys, you don't have to worry about how you're carrying on in your life. If you just kind of keep being who you are, there's chances are that someone will want to get with you eventually.
Well, and I have a lot of... I'm glad you brought this up. I have a lot of thoughts on this subject. The entitlement portion of it is exactly right. I love the insinuation that, like, if you're just a nice person that is there for someone...
Yeah.
Like,
that gives you something.
that gives you some sort of special standing or whatever. Like, that's not... I'm sorry to sound like a dick about it, but... And God knows I've been in situations where I've liked people. I've liked girls that haven't liked me back or whatever. But, you know... That's not how it works. That's not how attraction works at all. Like,
Yeah.
there are... And I've done it to girls where it's like they have expressed interest in me, and it's like, I'm sorry, I don't view you that way. It's not like it's a every person with every person sort of deal.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's interesting because, like, it's funny that I say the things that I do because that's kind of how, like, I dated only, like, one girl in high school. Well, yeah, one girl in high school. And she went through a breakup, and I was her friend, and I was just kind of there for her, and then we got together. And it seems like the ultimate, like, Mary Sue movie, like, dream almost, because, like, you know, I was just there for my good friend who happened to be really hot, and then suddenly things worked out. Like, for me, there was, like,
really hot.
it was a mutual thing because, like, you can't break that stuff down. Like, I hung out with this girl because she was, I mean, sure, she was cute, but she was also really friendly, and she was a great baker. So I was like, dude, cookies and brownies and shit? Yes!
Well done.
So that was how that happened. And
I
so,
don't want to
like,
make it weird, but I am also a pretty good baker.
Wink. Wink. Gross. That would work in Japan on here.
Ladies.
Ladies, I can make you a brownie.
Do you remember the Dimitri Martin bit where he finishes off sentences with ladies to make it sound creepy? He's like, every sentence sounds creepy when you add ladies to the end of it.
Oh my god. I have not seen
I went
that.
to the coffee shop to get coffee this morning.
Ladies.
And I don't remember if that's one of the ones he used, but it was a funny
It still
bit.
works.
It still works. It's a funny bit.
Hey, I gotta go to the bathroom. Ladies.
I actually kind of do.
Oh my god.
If you could
So we should just wrap this up.
That's not what I meant.
That's really all I actually kind of wanted to say on the matter, was that it just comes from this entitlement / just fallacy in thinking that somehow, even Dave Chappelle made a joke about it in one of his specials, like, men and women don't get along anymore. Because it seems like we're all in this kind of, like, weird binary expectation of what relationships are.
Yeah.
Like, I even think about relationships, like, because I'm a gamer. And,
Sure.
oh, I'm a gamer, whatever. Don't take titles to anything.
If you die on the podcast, you die for real.
I'm not Frank Muniz over here. He was in that movie.
I get it.
Just saying, if people don't know.
Was there any other famous actor in Malcolm in the Middle? I'm struggling to think of any.
Yeah, I can't think of
Frankie
any either.
Muniz has to be the most famous.
Agent Cody Banks.
Yeah.
That got 2
Who
movies.
doesn't remember that?
Yeah.
Those. I remembered there were 2. I feel like no one else on that show has ever done anything.
Absolutely
of
nobody.
note.
I think.
Glad we settled it.
Yeah, but
Thank you for reminding me.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
There,
Finish your thought.
see, now we got to talk about
Sorry.
Frankie Muniz. I got confused. No, because in games and stuff, that's entirely what relationship systems are in those video games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even going back to Final Fantasy VII with, like, the love points, where, like, you
Love
end up,
points.
if you start, like, saying the right things to Aeris or Tifa, or even, I guess, Yuffie or Barrett, whatever.
Barrett
things-
was always the holdover.
Yeah.
If you somehow repulsed every woman in your party.
Right. See, but that's just so weird in terms of a concept too.
It's a little weird.
Because it's like you're gonna. Because what I remember actually doing was the game that affected me the most was an RPG franchise called .hack GU. It was like the sequel series to .hack, and it had a relationship system in it where, like, the more you, like, spend time with, like, a certain player in the game, it would develop, and so they'd be better at fighting. Like they actually care more about what they did in the game.
See, that's
And
interesting.
like I think
That's a cool dynamic, I think.
because I think it'd be cool, especially if like it's PlayStation 2, so it was kind of more window dressing in a lot of ways. Because it's like
Well,
you've
if you
got
want window dressing, that's what all love points didn't do anything.
I know,
Fantasy
but
VII.
like it's people talk about how invested they are in games like even Mass Effect, but it's like it's all bullshit anyway because it just ends whenever you get your kid off. Anyway, the thing I was gonna say is that like the benefits of having a human relationship were kind of at least showcased in that a little bit, because the more you spent time with a player or a partner in the game, things became more effective. You kind of understood each other's playstyles more. Like there's a lot to be made there. In like an AI situation, there's something better in that than what it offers. As it is now, especially with games like Mass Effect, all it is a series of just like quizzes before you get to shag them. That's it. You just you gotta sex them, and then it's over, and then nothing else happens. It's like, well, I guess I achieved the mission. That just sounds gross.
Yeah, that's pretty gross.
Yeah, and people think like it's this completely in-depth thing that's essential to their games. It's like, no, it's a checklist. You've made women in this game, or men, a checklist.
And I feel like there are better ways in games to make you care about someone.
Like for me, the .hack GU thing was it, because like, hey, if I actually care about the people in my party, they'll actually get better at what they do.
And for me, the ideal would be BioShock Infinite.
Mm-hmm.
Once you meet and team up with Elizabeth, there's no sexual tension or whatever, because she's like a young girl and you're a hired gun who's just trying to like kidnap her or whatever and take her back home.
True.
But like you slowly learn to like trust and assist each other to each get what they want out of it, and she feels like she's part of your team ultimately.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like you meet her and almost immediately you're like, wow, I need to protect / keep Elizabeth with me or whatever. It's a great job.
Yeah, I don't remember much about the Half-Life 2 because I haven't played in a really long time, but I think that's how I felt with Alex Vance.
I think a lot of people agree with you. I never played through Half-Life 2. I'm kind of ashamed.
I liked
to
the
admit.
dog. I liked the dog. He was cool. The little robot. The big fucking hulking robot.
I don't even know if I remember that.
Dude,
I know.
It's awesome.
I'm the worst.
But yeah, I
I
think
haven't played a game that came out, literally a decade ago?
quite literally at this point,
Yeah.
people are still waiting for 3. Guess what? Never gonna happen.
Yeah, keep waiting.
Keep.
Although
dreaming.
people kept waiting for that Duke Nukem game, and then that happened, right? You're like, I prefer to think it didn't happen, because in my brain it didn't. But yeah, I don't know. I like that you brought up the friend zone. Yeah. I have a number of friends who are girls, one of whom in particular I've known since like early college, and we've just been friends the whole time, and people are going to be like, when are you going to make your move? And it's like, who says I want to make a move? Like, whatever. She's not unattractive by any means. She's a very attractive girl.
Sure.
She's a very sweet, very nice girl. There's a reason we get along so well. I mean, we're great
We should
friends.
cut out this part of the podcast and send it to her.
Oh, yeah, that'd look totally normal. Like, hey, so my brother and I were doing a podcast and we talked about you. That wouldn't creep a person out.
Did you forget about me?
But all I'm saying is, like, there's no desire there for me to be like, God, I'm so friend zoned by this chick. It's like, we're just friends. That's the expectation. That's all it is. It feels like I'm saying something more profound than I should, because it's such a simple thing, but
Yeah.
to hear the internet tell it, it'd be like, yeah, right. Like, if she was like, we should hook up, he wouldn't do it. And it's like, why is that your sole focus? Like, why is that the end goal of every conversation on the subject?
Yeah.
Like, haha, mission, it's like you said, mission accomplished. Woo,
Operation
I did it.
Get My Dick Wet. Ugh.
I think that was the
That's
original name for Iraqi freedom.
Operation Dipstick.
Yeah, and, well, that actually kind of works, because what do you put a dipstick in?
Car oil.
You got it. I was going to say oil.
Car
It's
oil.
in the Middle East.
It has to be car oil.
It works on...
I went into stink lines mode for a second.
Uh,
Just get him around. Free sex, I'm a lady.
right.
It's funny, as I was thinking about all of this stuff about like relationships and all that kind of stuff, I was thinking about the Operation Get Your Dick Wet. It's like, it seems like that's the one thing on everybody's mind, at least the assumption is for guys and shit.
Right.
And so I think about the episode of Aqua Teen Hunger Force where Carl looks in on like his other life if he had hair, and how it's like all like very 50s TV show.
Yeah, like idyllic, Leave It to Beaver.
Surprise, I bought you each a dog. We can take him on a church picnic, and the dogs can worship with us. Honey, why are you crying? I'm just so happy I love you. And Carl's like, you need to grow a sack. And so when he like completely just spends the entire episode ruining this guy's life, he's just like, all I can think about is sex and this song, Tonight Long Stick Goes Boom. Like, oh, I love that episode.
I gotta say, Carl's probably he's gotta be up there in terms of best characters.
Yeah.
It's certainly on Adult Swim. I would probably put him in my top 5, maybe even 3 all time. Carl's outstanding.
I love when he's first sees like the environment that he's in. He's just like, where are all the women? Where are all the hookers? Did I scare them away? No, here's your wife. You married her in a church. Well, how come she ain't in the kitchen cooking my dinner?
He's just so like unironically sexist.
I know, and he's
just chauvinistic and awful.
I know, and it's
sort of like the internet.
Yeah, judging you.
Yeah, you didn't see it.
Yeah,
you can't
you heard
see
me.
it.
I'm your role model.
But
You're building up to me.
I'm staring at the mic.
I'm staring at you. Were staring at the
Intensely.
laptop too.
Oh, I know. Well, it's because that's where the internet lives.
That's where it goes.
It's just, I see these posts on Reddit all the time where it's always like shaming a woman for doing a thing.
What?
I don't know, and I know
I
it's
sound
not,
surprised there because I don't go on Reddit all that
No,
much.
and I know it's not like intentional, and I know like you can't group all of Reddit together because it's an impossibly diverse group of millions of people and visitors. Fine. That's all well and good, but like some of the shit that gets posted there is just like shockingly like, wow, you really have absolutely zero like social skills /
Okay, give me a
URL.
post and I'll read it like stink lines. Like, give me an example.
I don't know. I don't really want to look them up.
I went into a coffee shop and there was this hot girl there. I said that her apron looked nice, and then she said thanks, like I'm not gonna expect anything from that. Come on.
All right, that's pretty good. I don't know. There are
It
a lot
sounds
of,
about what something would complain about.
There are a lot of examples, like, since it's been Halloween week or whatever, like, a lot of girls will show off their costumes or whatever, and, like, all the top comments are, like, pretty looking girl with average costume, top post, and it's like, great, real fucking special of you to throw the gender into it, because that matters, or whatever. Or, like, whenever, there was a story a little while back about this, like, teenage girl, I don't remember how old she was, doing a science fair project on like energy transfer or something like that, and she won the top prize.
That's cool.
And people were like, "Oh, like a
woman good at science?
The news
a
article
woman is good at science? What kind of world is this?"
The news article was very positive, right? Because it's like that's a teenage girl doing an amazing thing.
Yeah, it's
and like
awesome.
a lot of the top posts were like, "Yeah, this is nothing new," and it's like, Jesus, get over yourself.
Not only that, but she's 13, man. She's showing interest in a field.
Yeah. Which you would think people would be excited about, right?
Nope.
Why not shit all over kids whenever we
You think
can?
you're better than me? I'm 28 and I live in a basement.
All right. I'm not saying you're wrong in a lot of cases, but the mother's basement stereotype is pretty well trodden territory.
It's actually annoying because I watched a recent episode of Castle, and like some cyber-bullied kid becomes the thing called the Net Slayer, where like he posts pictures of like the people he's killed, and then they find him in his mom's basement, just kind of like, looking all maniacal, like, my plans are in motion.
Okay.
And then they basically just exploit how insecure he is about a bunch of shit to find out where the 2 kids he was going to kill are hiding. It's the most. I'm just like, you know what? If you want like an actual twist ending, have this guy be put together, but just kind of know what his
Have
life
him
is
be
shit.
like a Wall Street banker where it's like, yeah, everyone knows how to use computers.
Yeah,
It's not hard.
God.
Dude, the mother's basement stereotype has been used for years ad nauseum, and it's insulting. They use it a lot for blogs. I don't know if you've noticed that. Mm-hmm. But incidentally, since I've been rereading through all the old Fire Joe Morgan articles, full circle again, bam!
Boom.
Yeah, that's the theme. There's a lot of like the attack on the new stats movement in baseball or whatever.
What?
And it's all these like old jaded sports writers just talking down super snidely and super rudely to like bloggers who are trying to express their interest in baseball in new ways and being like, oh, cool. You get a lot of baseball games in your mom's basement. Go outside and maybe watch a game for once. And it's like,
Oh my
this
god.
is the most...
That's like the freaking Clint Eastwood movie, like Trouble with the Curve. It was like
Ugh.
the anti-Moneyball movie.
Oh my god.
I'm just like,
that
you know-
movie is insulting on a deep level to me. There's one of my favorite writers, a guy named Joe Poznansky, did like a takedown of that movie, or a review. It wasn't really like a takedown, but it was kind of like an implicit takedown. And it was great. Or maybe it was one of the guys on Hardball Talk. I don't remember. Either way, that movie, atrocious. Just atrocious. While we're on the subject, the Moneyball movie was terrible.
The book is better, yeah.
The book is 400 million times better, and I get it. You can't take a Michael Lewis book and turn it into a movie that keeps the spirit of the book, because that's not what Michael Lewis does. But it's the same thing that happened with The Blind Side. The book was about the evolution of football, the importance of the left tackle, as expressed through the story of Michael Orr, much like Moneyball was about keeping competitive in the baseball world against a Goliath structure of, like, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, and these teams that can outspend everyone.
Yeah, like major market teams.
And it was expressed through the point of view of Billy Beane and the A's. Like, they're great stories. And The Blind Side got turned into a movie about Sandra Bullock's maternal instincts. And Moneyball got turned into the story of why Billy Beane specifically is like an overlooked genius who loves his daughter. And it's like, I don't feel like those were at all the essence of the
It's
books.
Hollywood's bullshit because, like, you can't take anything like and adapt it without having like people like movie audiences. They need that humanity. They need that connection to the characters. You can't just have random bullshit happen in a movie and call it a movie.
Well, and I get it, you know, like Moneyball. I don't remember if Moneyball.
I don't know what voice I did there.
Nor do I. But
Like
it was
kind
good.
of weird, like
liked it.
L.A. executive Boston, kind of like, you know. Okay, so here's what we gotta do.
L.A. Boston.
L.A. Boston. They're the same cities, really. Also, then I went to like Jersey for a second.
Hey, I'm walking here, dude.
I'm walking
Like,
here,
what?
bro.
Yeah, come on, brah. But like, I get it, and it's fine. You know, Moneyball. I don't remember if it was a bestseller, but it was a great book, and it can be a great book.
Sure.
And Moneyball the movie can be a great movie, and ditto The Blind Side or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's fine that The Blind Side was nominated for Academy Awards, or Sandra Bullock was nominated at least.
Yeah.
That's all fine, but like the thing that bums me out about it is when people are like, "Oh yeah, Moneyball, that was a great movie. Billy Beane and the A's, huh? Man, that guy's great." I was like, ugh, that's not the takeaway
For
from the
me,
movie.
for me, I'm always of two minds about that kind of thing because I'm like, let people enjoy whatever version of whatever they want. Like, it comes down to that live and let live kind of thing. But like, then you take something that's adapted poorly, like the people who liked the Man of Steel movie, and I'm just like, you don't like Superman.
Did you ever see the Spider-Man reboot with Andrew Garfield?
No, I never saw any of those.
That dude is fine. Like, he's a fine Spider-Man,
Mm-hmm.
and
The problem is they made Peter... There's a bunch of problems. They made Peter Parker cool, but he's not supposed to be.
yeah, and there are so many flaws and holes in that movie. I thought I was going to sprain my ankle tripping
The
over all of them.
CinemaSins YouTube channel did Amazing Spider-Man 2, and the movie sin counter got up to over 2 million.
Okay, that seems excessive.
Because they added points for all of the Sony product placement.
Oh, yeah, and in the first one, the Bing product placement, when he's Googling, like, his dad or whatever, it's brutal. The thing that really bummed me out, there were two parts in that Spider-Man movie that really bummed me out. The first is when Peter Parker sets up his camera in, like, the sewers or whatever to take pictures of whatever the villain was. I don't even remember.
You see, yeah.
And the dude grabs the camera, the villain grabs it and looks on the back and it says property of Peter Parker. What the fuck?
Did you
That
forget
is
he put
the
that
most
sticker there?
convenient, like, Deus Ex Machina move the plot forward thing I've ever seen. That is so stupid. And if you know you're a person living some sort of secret identity superhero thing, why wouldn't you take every step to ensure that your name, Peter Parker, wasn't associated with any Spider-Man-like thing?
Well,
the camera was in a web!
The funny thing...
How much clearer could it be?
Well, there's a character thing about Spider-Man about that. He's kind of supposed to be this awkward kind of, like, dopey genius.
Yeah.
He's also supposed to experience... Because you don't have Spider-Man without him having some kind of emotional baggage or strife. Because that's entirely what his story is about. Like, the reason he became... My powers come from I have amazing abilities and powers, but it also manages to hurt everyone I know and love. Like, that's
And-
kind of the crux of his story.
Yeah, well, and like that's what I thought made the Sam Raimi first one especially powerful.
Yeah.
Was like his sense of justice is effectively imbued in him from like, I had these powers, I had the chance to do something, I didn't act, and it got my uncle killed.
Yep.
And it's
That's
like,
entirely what it's about.
and it's such a that scene took what we'll call it 3 minutes.
Yeah.
That is more character development than I think we saw in any of the new one.
I haven't seen him because I kind of just refuse to see him. I don't want to.
Yeah, that's probably a safe idea.
Yeah, but we've talked about a lot of things.
I agree.
It's
been good.
We should, like, as much as we do like drafts, we should also do like just random bullshit talks.
So that was always the original point. Like, I never
Yeah.
thought drafts would be like the main focus. It was just a fun like construct to build around, so we had some semblance of a
Because we can
plan.
have it's kind of a discussion, but more regimented.
Plus, I am seriously obsessed with ranking things.
It's
I made a 68 team food pairings bracket recently.
That's true. You did.
I should let you play that actually.
We'll see.
It's fun. It doesn't take very long.
Okay. I'm thinking it's about time to wrap this up. We're getting to over an hour right now.
Oh wow, that actually went pretty fast.
Yeah.
See,
So
time flies when you're having fun, chatting with your brother,
solving
and
problems.
being potentially critical of things on the internet.
We'll call this the real cast, the real talk cast right now. We'll call this episode. Well, instead of what was the word you gave it for a random assortment?
Gallimaufry.
Yeah,
I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
let's
I've
just
said
call
that like
it-
4 times.
Yeah. Let's just call it talking real.
I don't want talking real. Could you be? Hey, the '90s called. It wants its podcast name back.
Hey, the mid 2000s called. It's the 90s joke back.
Hey, the 2014 called. Good point. Yeah. How's that feel?
I think that's just our out. So I'm just gonna hit this.